What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name is Nicole and I'm an addict. My sobriety date is July 13th of 2015 and I share my experience, strength, and hope in hopes that it will help you and inspire you to make changes in your life. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor. I am just a girl sharing her experience. I do not work for a treatment center. I do not get paid to take calls, to send you to treatment, to do any of those things. I'm just simply sharing my experience here on YouTube, and I love doing it. And I love helping you guys, and it gives me purpose, and it helps me stay sober. So, with that being said, today I had done a quick live stream to wish Heart's Love a happy birthday, and one of my subscribers and moderators came in, Great Dane, and asked if I could make a video about atheists and these 12-step fellowship programs such as Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, etc. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. I can make a video because first of all, I want you guys to understand something. When I first got sober, I had absolutely no relationship with any higher power. My higher power was dope. My higher power was the hustle. You know, the only thing I believed in was getting high. I was hopeless, all right? I didn't have faith in anything. So it took me some time to make a connection with a power greater than myself, which my power is God, but I am very open-minded and I accept everyone's path. If you are an atheist or you're an agnostic or you're, Buddhist or Satanist or just don't have any belief, that's fine. I support you and I understand. I never want to push my beliefs on anyone, okay? I'm just here to share my experience. With that being said, I do want to share with you guys about the 12-step fellowship that I'm a part of, Alcoholics Anonymous. And I want to explain to you guys that although it does say God in the steps, that when they say God, what they are meaning is your own conception of God. Okay? So I'm going to read to you where it says all this, so that way I'm not just making it up. All right? So, there is a chapter in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous just for the atheist and the agnostic. So, if you're struggling and you're like, I can't be a part of AA, I can't work the 12 steps because of God, I'm here to tell you that that's a lie. That is a lie. And that is what your addiction is telling you, because your addiction doesn't want you to get into a 12-step program. Because your addiction doesn't want you to get help. All right? Your addiction wants you to stay out there in them streets getting high. Okay? So, chapter 4, we agnostics. Okay? It's going to talk about atheists too. In the preceding chapters, you have learned something of alcoholism/addiction. We hope we have made clear the distinction between the alcoholic and the non-alcoholic. If when you honestly want to, you cannot quit entirely, or if when drinking or using you have little control over the amounts you take, you are probably an alcoholic or an addict. If that be the case, you may be suffering from an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer. Okay, so basically this is telling us that the only way that we're going to get sober, we will be able to conquer our addiction, is if we have a spiritual experience. So, what is a spiritual experience? In the back of the book, it tells us what a spiritual experience is. Here we go. The terms spiritual experience and spiritual awakening are used many times in this book, which upon careful reading shows that the personality change sufficient to bring about recovery from alcoholism/addiction has manifested itself among us in many different forms. So all a spiritual experience is, or a spiritual awakening is a complete personality change, a total change in your thinking and perception. That's what it is. Does it mean that you got laid out in the Holy Spirit and spoke in tongues? No. Does it mean that you have went from being an atheist to now you're a devout Christian? No. It means that your thinking has changed. Your whole perception and personality and the way you see life has changed. That's what a spiritual experience is. So, now that we got that cleared up, to one who feels he is an atheist or agnostic, such an experience seems impossible. But to continue as he is means disaster, especially if he is an alcoholic of the hopeless variety. To be doomed to an alcoholic death or to live on a spiritual basis are not always easy alternatives to face. But it isn't so difficult. About half our original fellowship were exactly of that type. At first, some of us tried to avoid the issue, hoping against hope we were not true alcoholics or addicts. But after a while, we had to face the fact that we must find a spiritual basis of life or else. Perhaps it is going to be that way with you. But cheer up. Something like half of us thought we were atheists or agnostics. Our experience shows that you do not be disconcerted. If a mere code of morals or better philosophy of life were sufficient to overcome alcoholism, many of us would have recovered long ago. So basically, if it was about us being better people, willpower, having good morals and values, we would have all gotten sober a long time ago. But it's so much more than that, you guys. The addiction is a malady, okay? It's a void inside of us, all right? It's a sickness inside of us that we're constantly trying to fill that hole with something else to make us feel better, okay? It's just so much more than physical addiction to a drug, all right? It goes so much deeper than that. My addiction started long before I ever picked up a drink or a drug. I can remember being a little girl and loving to eat like chocolate and pasta that my mom would make. And I was addicted to, having those like comfort foods that I could eat when I was having a bad day, right? That's when my addiction really started showing itself, before I ever got high. Also, I had a stage in my life where I got addicted to working out and exercising and dancing, to the point where I would dance and dance and dance until I would exert myself, until I would collapse, right? Because everything I did to the extreme, right? And that was because I was seeking that feel-good feeling. I was seeking that high, that euphoria, that change in the way I felt, and I would get that from the over exercising, dancing so much, or eating a lot, right? Those endorphins would be pumping. Same way with addiction. I always was second guessing myself and feeling insecure on the inside, and so addiction, when you have a personality like that and you're unsure of yourself, it's a lot easier to be influenced, and it's a lot easier to make choices that can wind you up where we're at. So, our human resources as marshaled by will were not sufficient. They failed us utterly. So, we tried to get sober through our own willpower, okay? All of us have. But our own resources failed. No human power can relieve our addiction, you guys. It's something greater than me that is helping me stay sober, right? And if you're an atheist or agnostic, all right, you just have to identify your own conception of what that power is. All right, like I said, I've said this before, in meetings like this where we have a group of people and you guys are all in the chat, I've had people that I know who were complete atheists, complete agnostics, and they believed that the power of the group was the power greater than them, and that power was helping them to stay sober. Right? I have friends who believe in, like I was saying before in the other video, altruism. I have friends that believe in the universe or nature. I have people that believe that their sponsor in the fellowship are their higher power, and that's just your own conception of a power greater than yourself. And just because you don't believe in Jesus Christ doesn't mean that you cannot work the 12 steps and recover from the disease of addiction. All right? Are you going to be cured from your disease? No. We're always going to have to work to do better and keep our disease in remission. And what we do is we work these steps and we connect with other people who are in the fellowship, and we share our experience, strength, and hope, and that helps us to stay sober. You know, this really, really works if you work it. But where and how are we to find this power? So here we go. This book is about finding that power, whether it be God, whether that power be within you. All right, that consciousness, that connection that you have with a power that's greater than you inside you. Well, that's exactly what this book is about. Its main objective is to enable you to find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. That means we have written a book which we believe to be spiritual as well as moral. And it means, of course, that there are going to be talks about God. Here, difficulty arises with agnostics. Many times we talk to a new man and watch his hope rise as we discuss his alcoholic problem and explain our fellowship, but his face falls when we speak of spiritual matters, especially when we mention God, for we have reopened a subject which our man thought he had neatly evaded or entirely ignored. We know how he feels. We have shared his honest doubt and prejudice. Some of us have been violently anti-religious. To others, the word God brought up a particular idea of him with which someone had tried to impress them during childhood. We were bothered with the thought that faith and dependence upon a power beyond ourselves was somewhat weak, even cowardly. We looked upon this world of worrying individuals, worrying theological systems, and inexplicable calamity with deep skepticism. We looked askance at many of individuals who claimed to be godly. How could a supreme being have anything to do with it all? And who could comprehend a supreme being anyhow? Okay. We found that as soon as we were able to lay aside prejudice and express even a willingness to believe in a power greater than ourselves, we commenced to get results, even though it was impossible for any of us to fully define or comprehend that power. Okay? So all you have to do is be willing to believe in your own conception of a higher power. All right? Much to our relief, we discovered we did not need to consider another's conception of God. Our own conception, however inadequate, was sufficient to make the approach and to effect contact. So, I just want you guys to know that if you are struggling with finding a place where you fit in, a fellowship where you can connect with other individuals who know what you're going through, and what's keeping you from connecting with that fellowship is God, the idea of God. That in the 12-step fellowships, AA and NA, that it really is a spiritual program. It's not religious, and that your own idea of or conception of God is what it is. If you don't believe in God, then whatever your higher power is, you just believe that. It's really only about having faith that there's something out there greater than you, right? Helping you on this path. And if that's not sufficient enough for you, or you don't feel like comfortable doing that, I'm really wanting to encourage you guys to get into Medically Assisted Recovery Anonymous, okay? MARA. If you will go on Facebook, there is a MARA group. It's called MARA International. And they have their own 12 steps, which I am starting to learn about, okay? Which I'm starting to learn about. They have their own 12 steps, and what they do is they don't have the word God anywhere in their 12 steps at all. So that might even be something that would appease to you more if you are having difficulties with, the idea of a spiritual being or a higher power or God. Also, there are programs such as Smart Recovery, which is online, and Refuge Recovery, and I'm pretty sure those don't have any talk of God in them either. But I really want you guys I want to encourage you guys, if you're struggling with the idea of a higher power, to lay your prejudice aside and not listen to the crowd, because the majority of people that are in AA or NA, they do believe in a higher power God. But I'm here to tell you that you do not have to believe that to get the benefits from the 12 steps, okay? Believe me, I promise you, I've seen it done. I've had many friends who did not believe in God who have benefited from working the 12 steps of AA, and it saved their damn life. I really want to encourage you guys to look past that and not let it keep you from hearing the message, all right? I really hope that this helped you guys out. Great Dane, if you have any questions at all, get at me. Like I said, in this book, the Alcoholics Anonymous book, We Agnostics is page 44. 44. And you can see I got my book. I use it a lot. But really dive into that chapter, read it, and I hope it helps you out a lot. If you want me to, I can do a whole video where we just read that whole chapter together. I'm going to link some videos I've done in the past about We Agnostics, and I hope that really does help you, man. If you have any other questions, just text me on the Real Talk Recovery phone line at 501-991-5149. Love you guys.